Everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining as always is your host Tricky, and we are on Riverside FM today. I'm doing a bit online, and I'm joined by my co-host Will. How are we, mate?
I'm very good, Trent. How are you, mate?
I am not too bad. Not too bad. A lot of finals. How was the first week of finals to get it started? It's good to get finals going. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Finals was very good. Some great games in there. Some not so good games.
Yeah, it's always just that finals fever. You can feel it coming around. As if you're an avid podcast listener to any of our guests, and you listen to the 200 plus podcast, as Nick Butler says, gets the September sniffles. He gets a bit of a cold around there because he can sense the finals coming around. But before we get into it, I just want to go through a couple of the news, and there's been some leaked today as well. But before you get to that, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I had a
What
very
did you get
good
up to,
weekend.
mate?
What about you, Tricky?
What did you get up to first?
Nothing much.
Sorry, guys, there's a bit of a delay between us talking.
So I pretty much just watched finals and then watched UFC on the Sunday. Didn't get up to much else.
Yep, and we'll definitely touch on the UFC later. But what I'm going to say is on Saturday, I did Narry Warren v. Wandon, which was a very good game. Came down to 3 points. And then I did Emerald and Hillsville, which was a very close game until the last quarter where Emerald kicked away and got out, won by 4 or 5 goals. So it was a pretty good weekend. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. And then this weekend, on Saturday, I've got the preliminary final for the Premier between Wandon and Ruryalik. And then on Sunday, I've got the Div 1 Grand Final where it'll be the reserves, and then it'll be in the seniors, Berwick Springs v Emerald, where Berwick Springs beat them in the qualifying. So it'll be interesting to see if Emerald can bounce back. Now we'll get into
sounds good.
Now we'll get into some AFL news. Obviously, we want to talk about the Richmond. The Richmond coaching job can now confirm is down to 2 people. It is now down to interim coach Andrew McQualter and Melbourne assistant Adam Uze. Now, out of those two, I don't know if you know much about Adam Uze, Will, but do you see Andrew McQualter taking on the interim coach and going into being the head coach, or do you think they should go for a new face?
Well, I don't see why they wouldn't take McQualter, giving to what he's done with Richmond so far this season. Like in the back half of the season, they were pushing quite high up the ladder towards the end, so I don't see why he wouldn't get the top job. I reckon he's done a good job with what he was left with in what was a shock exit from Damien Hardwick, so I don't understand why he wouldn't get that gig.
Now, onto the other part about Richmond. Dusty was seen meeting with Damien Hardwick. Could have been just a catch-up. Is there legs, or do you think because Damien Hardwick cleared it up last night? I thought there was a bit of legs. I got a bit of sources, but Damien Hardwick cleared it up last night. And for now, I'm going to take his word because the way he said it with chest that Dusty. I feel like Dusty went over there and asked for advice because I know for a fact, I'm not going to reveal what it is, but he had what he wanted in mind and who he wanted to be coached by. And if it wasn't them, he wanted to leave. But I feel like he's gone over to Dimmer and said, what do you think? Say if this person gets the job, should I stay? And he said, stay. But do you think there's still legs, or are you taking Dimmer's word?
No, I reckon there is still legs. It's hard in the AFL world not to take a coach's word for something. So he could just be saying that for the media, and I suppose we'll see what happens over the off-season, whether he stays at Richmond or whether he pushes over to the Gold Coast. I can't see why he wouldn't consider moving up to the Gold Coast. He's got nothing really left to lose. And it could just be a refreshing move for him, getting later into his career. Great opportunity for him to show some of those leadership characteristics he possesses. And I reckon he could make a good impact to the younger Gold Coast playing group.
Yeah, and I know Alex Rance, they're trying to get him over there to do some sort of mentorship and work with the backline. Do you see him putting the boots on back on? Or do you think he's been out for too long?
Oh, I think he's been out a bit too long, I feel like it'd take him a fair while to get back into AFL fitness. But apparently, according to Damien Hardwick, he's pretty fit. Like, he reckons he could hit the footy track tomorrow. So that could be an interesting space.
Yeah, when I was talking at home with Dad, that's the part I was thinking, because I saw, obviously, Damien Hardwick was on talking finals last time, I believe it was. And when asked about, have you asked the question, Alex Rance, he was a bit hesitant when he went to answer, I thought.
Yeah, he did seem hesitant. He also did mention, as I said before, he reckons he looks in some decent shape. So he could come back. You can never say no in the off-season, to be honest.
Yeah, and number one is Brandon Zerk-Thatcher from the Essendon, the key defender, has requested a trade to Port Adelaide. Do you see this getting done, and what do you think they'll have to give up? Because I believe he's out of contract as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I can see it getting done. Not terribly sure what they should give up, though, because I'm not sure if they do have that much to give up at the moment. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do it, because Essendon still do need that key backline. Obviously, they're going hard after Ben Mackay, but so are a few other clubs. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But it'll be interesting because Port are also after Asava Radaglia to play in the key back as well. And I've heard reports today that they've pulled out of the Grundy race.
Yeah, I did hear that, and they're targeting the...
Jordan Sweet's
Bulldogs.
requested a trade there, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Sweet's requested the trade to Port Adelaide, so I think they have bowed out of the Brodie Grundy race purely because I feel like Jordan Sweet would be a cheaper get for them. They wouldn't have to give up as much. He's only 25 years old, and he's only played 10 games for the Western Bulldogs. He's a big boy too. What is it, 204 centimetres?
Something like that.
Yeah, so that could be a great asset for Port Adelaide to get and not give up that much for, compared to what they'd probably have to give up for Grundy.
Yeah, 100%. And while sticking on Port Adelaide, Travis Boak has been informed he will not be getting a contract at the end of the year, but he still believes he can keep going. He's 34 or 35. Do you think? I think he could possibly go another year, but do you see a club taking the gamble and picking him up? And if so, what type of club would?
Yeah, I think a club would pick him up. I feel like it'd be one of those rebuilding clubs, maybe a Hawthorn, North Melbourne, somewhere where they need just someone to, really give them that leadership from a position, or that older mindset who's seen a few games of footy.
Yep. And then another one was Liam Henry, the wingman, who I thought had a solid season this season for the Freo Dockers, has requested a trade to St Kilda. He wants to live with Brad Hill too. He was very close to Brad Hill back in the Freo days when he was coming through the Next Generation Academy. And I think that could be a decent get for St Kilda, because I rated Liam Henry's season. He's only young still as well.
Yeah, Liam Henry had a great season. As you said, yeah, he's very young, and he provides some quick dash off the wing. I'm a bit disappointed that he didn't request Hawthorn, because I thought he might be a nice little addition there. But that'd be a great get for St Kilda, and hopefully the trade gets up. They probably wouldn't have to give up too much, you wouldn't have thought.
Yep. And good old, going over to the Pies, good old Leggy, Oleg Markov has signed a 1-year contract extension. Now I'm going to throw my hands right up here, guys. As a Collingwood supporter, we got Oleg Markov, and I said, what are we doing? Not necessarily what we're doing because he was cheap, but I was like, I don't see him playing much. He's proven me wrong, and I'm a big fan of him now. I thought he had a really good year.
Yeah, he's had an outstanding year for someone who was delisted by the Suns and wasn't actually... I don't think he was on the Collingwood list until very late. I think he was just training with them.
Mm-hmm. No, he trained with Carlton or Essendon, one of them.
Yep, so I know he trained with them, and then Collingwood had a list spot open up. I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly why, but yeah, so very lucky to sort of get another chance at AFL level, and he's really taken it and ran with that. So it's really good to see him playing such good footy, and he's looked impressive the past 5-6 weeks.
100% he has. And West Coast have just pulled out their delistings. Sanford Just Exceeding it is among one of them being delisted. Now, you said you could see a club picking him up.
Yeah, I could see a club picking him up. I'm pretty sure, is he late 20s, early 30s?
Oh, no, it'd only be about 26 maybe.
Yeah, so he plays some good football, and I'm surprised West Coast delisted him after the season they had.
Yeah, because he was only there he only came across last year, didn't he?
Yeah, or maybe I think it might have been the year before, but I'm surprised. They could definitely have kept someone like that on their list. But
Yep.
I reckon he'll get picked back up in the draft.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, you've put it on the agenda too that we need to have a big focus, and you're very intrigued to get into the draft and the trade period as we get into it. As I say, trade period, great time of the year, and we'll be definitely diving deep into that, analysing it, and giving our thoughts as it carries on.
Yeah, I'm really keen for the trade period, and especially the draft. There's a lot of talent, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with all those Gold Coast Sun Academy players.
Jeez, they've got a few, don't they?
They do. Is it 5 in total? 3, they reckon they're going to go top 20.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And Jed Walters, the key forward, that's come out of nowhere, really, and they reckon he could go number 2.
Yeah, so that'll be very interesting to see if the Suns want to take them or if they want to take a different approach and get... But yeah, it's going to be a great draft.
Yep. Now let's move on to the games. Starting off with the Thursday night, it was the first qualifying final, and it was Collingwood getting the job done over Melbourne by 7 points. And it was a very interesting first quarter. We'll touch on that soon. It's been talked about a lot, but we'll just say what we think if it was the right call. But so it was 9-6-60 defeating Melbourne, 7-11-53. Fritsch was the only multiple goal here with 2. Bobley, the Dazzler Hill, kicked 3, and I thought was exceptional. He's had a really good year. I thought it was a great pickup. We got him for a 3rd or 4th round pick from GWS, and I think it's turned out to be a bargain. McStay also kicked the 2. While Oliver for Melbourne also had 31 with 11 clearances and 10 tackles. Petrarca had 29, and Maxi Gorm was huge for Melbourne. 27 touches, 31 hit-outs, 10 clearances, 7 marks, and 7 score involvements. For the Pies, there was not very many big disposal getters. It was just the leading disposal getter was Jack Crisp with 23 and 7 score involvements. Now, let's talk about it. You're watching Thursday night. You're sitting back watching the game. You see Brayden Maynard's hit. What's your first thought?
My first thought was originally before I actually saw the replay, because when I was watching it, I looked away and just saw that he'd come dead. Like I caught it just as he's turned and bumped. So I thought, he's in big trouble. They showed the replay, and although like very bad outcome, Brayshaw, he's going to probably miss the rest of the season now with concussion. But nothing in it, as in it's a footy act.
And did you hear about how he went to the house the next day?
I did, and what I read was that he had Melbourne teammates over, and the Melbourne teammates did not take it too good.
Max Gorn has responded to this. I found on the TikTok just before we get on, so I'm going to play it. Responded to the report by Caroline Wilson that it wasn't taken very well. So I'm just going to play it here.
Brayden Maynard was cleared, obviously. He went to Angus Brayshaw's home. They played a lot of junior footy together and had a relationship. You were at the house when he got there. He turned up with...
Allegedly.
And we confirm that you were there, mate. He turned up with a bottle of wine and some flowers.
Yep.
Feels like a bit of a date night now. Caroline Wilson is reported as saying the flowers never made it to the vase. Classic Caro. She wouldn't know.
But that's some bad Chinese. I put the flowers in a vase.
So they made it to the vase.
Exclusive.
I took it.
Exclusive. You heard here first. Flowers made it to the vase.
I took it out of the wrapper. Is that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, take it out of the wrapper. Sometimes you need to pull the lower leaves off.
Didn't give him a trim.
A little bit of sugar in the water.
I got a text later that night from Danielle that I picked the wrong vase.
What kind of vase did you
I picked
pick?
a pink vase.
Okay.
I thought it suited the flowers.
So he's turned up. He's bought the flowers. He's bought the wine. You've put the flowers in a vase.
I put the wine in a cellar as well.
Jeez.
In a wine fridge or something.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Caroline Wilson didn't mention the wine. No. God, she's a bum.
Was there a cheese board?
It was a Penfolds as well.
Oh, perfect.
So, what are your thoughts after that? Do you think it was a bit, obviously, was a bit blown up, or do you think Maxi Gorn could be telling a bit of fibs too?
Oh, it's hard to say. I feel like if there were some frustrations among the Melbourne boys, they wouldn't really want to admit that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, from what Max Gorn said, obviously, I feel like at the end of the day, it's Brayshaw's decision how he wants to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a hard one.
And Jacob Van Rooyen, I thought this one was just as bad. Going in with the elbow, and he only got 1 week for his hit on Dan McStay.
Yeah, it looks way worse in slow-mo than it did at the time. McStay didn't
No,
sustain
he
concussion.
went down. He went down for the test, and then after you do the test, you also have to sit out for the 15 minutes, I believe
Yep.
it is. And
Yep.
even though he could have came back on, he passed everything. He still had to wait the extra 15 minutes. So he was cleared by the test,
But he was cleared.
the rat test, I think they call it or something.
Yep.
They have to do, and yeah, but he was cleared.
Yeah, so that's good. That's probably reduced it a bit.
Yeah, 100%. Bobby Hill, as I mentioned before, he showed his electrifying pace around goals, and he was pushing up the ground. I saw him getting the ball down the wing and deep in defence too and running it out. But he finished with 3 goals, 13 disposals, 5 marks, 6 score involvements, and 4 tackles. As I mentioned, how good of a pickup has Bobby Hill been? And we got him for a bag of chips in the end.
Yeah, as I've said in the previous episode, I think all of Collingwood's pickups this year have been really good, especially because a lot of them you did not give up much for. As you said, Bobby Hill was taken for a direct trade with the late pick. You got Markov pretty much for free. And you also traded for McStay as well, who has also shown his capabilities. And I feel like your recruiting department's done exceptional over the off-season with how everyone's played. So that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, and we'll preview Melbourne's Warriors later going into when we preview the round coming up. But do you want to take Friday night's first elimination final?
Yes, this was a cracking game, in my opinion. So we had Carlton versus Sydney. Carlton 11-8-74 defeated Sydney 9-14-68. Goal kickers were Cottrell with 2, Martin with 2. And then for Sydney, it was Golden with 2, Parker with 2, McDonald with 2. Disposals for Carlton was Walsh with 29, 6 clearances, 9 inside 50s. Akers with 26, 5 clearances. Hewitt with 25 with 5 clearances, 2 goal assists. For Sydney, we had Lloyd with 27 at 85% efficiency with 10 marks. Then we had Gordon with 23, 7 score involvements and 2 goals. Some talking points. The decade-long wait to win a final was over for the Blues. How good was it to see them get up?
Yeah, well, you could see even that some of them fell to their knees. I know Paddy Cripps did. He fell to his knees and gave the double fist to the ground. It was good to see the energy by them.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw the game properly, but at the end of the game, they had a little table at the side, and 3 of the players that played in the final are in Carlton's top 5 players for most games played without a finals win.
Oh, really? So it would be Paddy Cripps.
Yeah, so Paddy
Cripps.
Doherty, I think, was on there, and there was one other, I can't remember.
Would it be Wiedering?
Yeah, I think it was Wiedering, actually.
Yep. And Callum Mills went to Paddy Cripps.
Yeah, that was a very interesting tactic, I thought, for the Swans, sorry.
Yep. And then how good was so he kept Cripps to 21 disposals and a goal, while Mills also had 21 himself. But the man I want to talk about, the boy from Pearcedale, how good was Matty Cottrell? 2 goals, 17 disposals at 94% efficiency and 7 score involvements. How good was he?
That was a massive performance from Cottrell. Not a player that really stands up a lot. He's more of a role player. But to see him do what he did, especially on the big stage with 17 disposals, 94% efficiency is crazy. And with the 2 goals and 7 score involvements, that's just a massive contribution he's made for his club in what's arguably one of the biggest stages they've had for a while.
Yep, and also Jack Martin has received too much suspension, but it's been downgraded to 1 for his swinging arm and high contact into Nick Blakey. It got downgraded to a medium impact. So I thought that was fair.
Yeah, I think that was fair. I was I thought it was a bit stiff when he originally did get handed the 2-week suspension. I thought there wasn't much in it. So 1 week I think is fair for that one.
And the other one was Harry Mackay suffers a concussion, meaning the Blues will be a key forward down against the Demons. So we'll touch on that a bit later, but we'll move. You wanted to do the St Kilda game, I believe. Was that right? You were doing the St Kilda
I can
game?
do the St Kilda game as well. Yep, I can do the Saints game.
Yeah.
So we had the second elimination final, which was St Kilda versus GWS. St Kilda 11-11-77, defeated by the Giants, which was 15-11-101. Goal kickers for the Saints was King with 3, Hill with 2, Sharman with 2, and for the Giants, we had Riccardi with 3, Bedford with 2, Kelly with 2, Brown with 2, and Hogan with 2. Disposals for St Kilda, Steele with 38, 8 clearances, Marshall with 31, Hill with 29, and Sinclair with 25. For the GWS, we had Green with 35, 5 clearances, 9 inside 50s, 2 goal assists, 705 metres gained. Whitfield 31, Ash 31, Kelly 27 with 622 metres gained. Some talking points here was Giants do it without key midfielder Stephen Cognilio, who was a late withdrawal from the game with an eye injury. He was massive for them during the season, so I thought this would affect them more than it clearly did.
The thing that I think it allowed, and we got to see, I just want to get up this bloke's stats, but it is his second season. I think it allowed us to see a bit more of Finn Callaghan going and playing some centre bounce, who I am a big fan of. So I just want to get up. Let's have a look at he had 18 touches, kicked a goal, and he got to play a bit more centre bounce time, which was really good, and got the 2 clearances to go along with 6 score involvements. But I thought having him to play a bit more centre bounce time was really good. And I feel like Toby Bedford getting off was a big get for the Giants as he kicked the 2 and also had 16 disposals to go along with it.
Yeah, look, I don't think he should have got off, but that just shows you, I suppose. I feel like there's been other instances where we've seen a similar sort of thing, and players have got the 1 to 2 weeks. So I think he was very lucky to get off. But yeah, him getting off has really helped the Giants secure the win there against the Saints.
This guy, I feel like, could become one of the best. If not, he's in the top 3 right now inside midfielders in the game. Tom Green, how good is he?
Tom Green was massive in that game. With the 35 touches, 5 clearances, 9 inside 50s, and 2 goal assists, 8 score involvements, and 705 metres gained. Those are crazy stats even during the normal season. To see that done in a final, especially in an elimination final, that's just huge for the Giants. If he can continue that sort of form, I feel like he can really take the Giants quite far in this September run.
And as he said, that's 11 wins they've got in 11 different venues. And I think I can't remember exactly what he said, but he goes 11 wins, 11 venues. Who wants to smoke? Don't know if you caught that. Did you catch that post game and the GWS caught that?
I didn't catch that, but that is quite funny.
Yeah, then GWS put it up on their TikTok, so I thought that was quite funny and clever.
That was pretty good. Another talking point here I have was Connor Iden was exceptional down back for the Giants with 11 intercept possessions to go along with his 18 disposals.
Yeah, he was exceptional. And I know Stevie Johnson on Triple M is a big rap, and Connor Iden has always said look out for him. And I can see it. He's really developing as a young player. I've just got the video here for you if you want to listen. It only goes about 10 seconds.
Free smoke wherever you want it.
Free smoke wherever you want it.
That's
unreal.
Golden. I'd also like to just point out that I know we give a lot of stick to St Kilda on this podcast, but when they sort of back it up for us, don't they, with how they perform?
Yeah.
But anyway, continuing on.
Tell us how you really feel, Will. Will they make the finals next year?
Do St Kilda make the finals next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon they will. I reckon they'll have a good off season. I reckon they'll go. I reckon they'll finish higher than they did this season. But I suppose we'll just have to see who they get rid of, and make our decisions in the off season about our predictions for next season.
Yep.
Moving on.
Saturday night was the second qualifying final, and this was probably the only decently blowout, although GWS got it done reasonably comfortably in the end as well. But this one was Brisbane getting it done again at the Gabba, being undefeated all year there, beating Port by 48 points. Danaher was massive for them, kicking 5, as was Rayner and Fletcher. In his first ever finals game, both of them kicking 3, while Cameron also kicked 2. Ollie Law was a surprise get up for probably one of the only positives for Port. He kicked 4. Powell Pepper and Marsh kicked the 2. McCluggage was exceptional for the Lions, I thought. He had 26 with 9 clearances, 3 goal assists, and 12 score involvements. While Butters does what Butters has done all season with 29, 7 tackles, and Rosie also had 28. Some of the talking points that I thought the Lions proved their dominance at the Gabba, and I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've probably said it 3 times, but I'll say it again. Brisbane, you have no excuse not to walk into a grand final.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Brisbane, honestly, with the way the two teams are playing, it realistically should be a Brisbane-Collingwood grand final this year. I can't see either team being knocked off at home, and I reckon the only team that potentially could with their current form would probably be the Giants with the way they're playing. So I don't know if you agree with me there, Trent, or not, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like I don't think no one can beat Brisbane over in Brisbane, and then it'll just come down to, can they back it up on the G? It was what it would all come down to.
Yeah, I feel like if they do continue playing at the Gabba, which obviously they will up until the grand final, if they make it, it'll really give them a chance to solidify their playing style and give them a bit of momentum coming into the grand final, should they make it.
Yeah, 100%. And Willem Drew went to Lockie Neal and kept him quiet. This is the first time probably the Brisbane midfield have shown that they can go ahead and star with the McCluggage stepping up without Lockie Neal. So Willem Drew kept Lockie Neal to 19 and just the 5 clearances. When Lockie Neal is at his best is when he's getting the 8+ clearances. So that was really good. Well, Willem Drew also had 20 disposals and 8 clearances himself. And then you go also to Port. Ollie Ward was a shining light with them with a career-high 4 goals. And I believe he played a bit of a role in Harris Andrews too, manipulating his role there. He plays an intercept defender, but at the end of the day, it didn't work. But Jasper Fletcher, how good was he in his first ever final? 3 goals, 16 disposals, and 6 marks.
Yeah, that's an incredible game for such a young player. Pretty sure is he 18 or 19?
This is his first season, so I think he might be 19.
Yep, so that's massive. And to think that Brisbane's going to probably have him for the next 8 years, along with Ashcroft. So their premiership window will be open if they can keep playing like this for another 3 years to come. So to see that from your young players, especially in a massive game like a final, it really gives you confidence as a Brisbane supporter.
Yep, and some of the injuries that Port they suffered and are facing coming into the semi-final this week and their last chance. It's do or die. Trent McKenzie, one of their key defenders, went down with an ankle and he looked in all sorts. And Dylan Williams also did a hamstring.
Yeah, some 2 injury woes, but I don't think it should affect Port Adelaide that much coming into this week's game against the Giants.
Now we'll move on to the preseason predictions for the teams that have gone out. So I'll start it off. So this team have gone out, which was Sydney. They finished 8th. I did this prediction in the season, and I predicted them to finish 3rd. So they were very much downhill from what I was hoping for, but they came with a storm in the end. I said look out for Logan McDonald, which he had an okay season, 19 matches, 30 goals, and averaged 4.5 marks a game. Well, his best game was round 2 versus Hawthorn, where he kicked 5 and had 13 disposals. I said lift Joel Marty, and he definitely showed some good signs, I thought. 14 matches, kicking the 19 goals. His best game was also round 2 against Hawthorn, where he kicked 4 goals, 11 disposals, and 9 marks. And I believe those 4 goals were in the first half, and then he went down with an injury and got subbed out. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm not it's my own team, not entirely sure about that, but he has had a pretty good season, and I feel like with Buddy out, he will be able to play more of a key forward role and have a better impact on Sydney next season.
Yep, most improved for me would be the Lizard, Nick Blakey. He had a sensational season off that half-back line, and all props to him because I feel like he became a star defender in the competition.
Yeah, he's really shown that he fits in well on that half-back line, and I love his run and carry off that half-back line. It creates a lot of opportunity for Sydney to go forward and score, so to see that from him, it's a really good sign.
Yep, St Kilda, mate.
So, St Kilda, this was Holty's prediction at the start of the season. They finished 6th. Holty predicted them to finish 9th, so good work from the Saints there. His lookout was Seb Ross. His season stats, 16 matches, 18.9 disposals, 3.8 clearances, and 3.3 score involvements. Holty's lift was Zach Jones. He had 4 matches, 16 disposals. His best game was round 18 versus Gold Coast. He was injured, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he suffered a bit of an injury, and I think he might have got the Seb Ross one wrong.
I do believe also that he did get the Seb Ross one wrong. Yeah, it's disappointing we couldn't see Zach Jones have a full season, so we can't really make a decision for the lift. Although I do think someone that has had their most improved has been Callum Wilkie, obviously making the All-Australian team and adding to the St Kilda's backline, along with Sinclair. It really gives them some solid defense structure there, which can result in a more attacking football.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Now, before we get into the fighting, let's go on to this segment.
Phillips, he's been so impressive this year. First corner, Phillips off the ground, goal. Oh, the kick goal. Oh, good tackle on that occasion by Phillips. Aggressive tackle it was by Phillips.
All right, so now we're going to do 2 more weeks of this, and then on our grand final show, we will reveal our final 22 team. To start off, I've gone with, I mentioned him earlier on in the episode, plays for Carlton. He's the boy from Pearcedale, so local to me. It's Matty Cottrell. 17 disposals at 94% efficiency, 2 goals and 7 score enrollments. He's just a live wire. I remember when he first got drafted, and even probably this year at points, they said, geez, the boy can run, but he can't kick. But geez, has he proven them wrong? And he's become such a crucial role player, I think, for the Blues. And I think it's worthy of Matt Cottrell getting a nod in the Andrew Phillips Team of the Year.
Yeah, he did have an outstanding game. For my Andrew Phillips nominee, I have chosen the big boy from St Kilda, Rowan Marshall.
Oh, he had a good game.
He did 31 disposals, 21 kicks, 10 handballs, 5 marks, 4 tackles, and 1 goal. That's massive, especially from a ruckman in a final. Although they couldn't get the job done, it's going to be exciting how far Rowan Marshall can come next year. I feel like he can become the best ruckman in the comp in the next coming years.
Yes, 100%. Now, USC was on the weekend, made some interesting results, and we have a new world champion. Take us through some of the results, mate. It was a very interesting day.
It was a very good day of fighting, although a couple of my favourites didn't get the job done.
Multi went down, didn't it?
Yeah, big time. Big time. So, we have the first fight that I mentioned on the prelim card was Jamie Malarkey, who defeated John Makadesi by unanimous decision. He defeated him, all judges scoring the contest 29-28, which was a great win for him coming off, I believe, was a loss. So, for him to turn around and do that is big.
I think you got that one right. I think you went Malarkey in.
Yeah, I said Malarkey. Malarkey. The next fight, this was an unfortunate circumstance. We had Shepe Mariscal defeating Jack Jenkins, my current favourite fighter, by verbal submission due to an arm injury. That does look pretty bad.
Yeah.
He came out yesterday he posted a video on Instagram either yesterday or the day before. So best case, he's done no ligament damage, and it's just going to take a couple months of recovery. Worst case, it will be surgery to repair some of those tendons and ligaments. So we probably won't see him until mid next year at the earliest. So he was defeated in round 2 with a stoppage at 3 minutes 19 seconds. So I got that one wrong, although hard to say how the fight would have been scored up until that point.
Yep. And the next fight, did you get this one right or did you get this one wrong?
I got this one right.
Yep.
I did get this one right. So it was Carlos Ulberg defeating Dawoon Jung by submission, rear naked choke, one of my favourite methods of victory. That was at the 4 minute.
I think you've tried that on me on a night out before. You've tried that on me on a night out before. You looked at me going, mate, you arc it.
Yeah, potentially. I wouldn't put it past me, but yeah, you probably were arcing. So, but yeah, that's a great win. Carlos Ulberg, he is looking very dangerous in that, I believe, light heavyweight division. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here and what fights Dana offers him next. The next fight I also tipped correctly, which was Tyson Pedro, who defeated Anton, can't pronounce that last name to save myself, I think it's Turk Alj, by TKO at 2 minutes and 12 seconds of round number 1. Very fast-paced win for Tyson. Nothing more to say. He's a competitive beast, so good to see him getting the win. Another round 1 knockout was Justin Taffer, who defeated Austin Lane by TKO at the minute 22 mark of round number 1. Now, this was a rematch. Obviously, I mentioned in the last episode, Justin Taffer had to finish the fight beforehand from a doctor stoppage due to being poked in the eye, which was pretty bad, but made light work of Austin Lane.
Isn't Austin Lane, if I'm correct, a former NFL player? Did I read that?
I believe so. It was I think he's either NFL. If not, he definitely played college football.
Yep.
Also, to add to that, Justin Taffer did earn himself a $50,000 bonus for a performance of the night. One of 2 bonuses which were handed out.
How good was the hit, though?
Amazing to see.
How good was the hit?
Oh, it was very good. The knockout was unreal. I do like he always has his expression, which is, if they reach, I have to teach.
Fair enough.
The next fight was yeah, it is quite good. So the next fight was Manel Kape defeated Felipe dos Santos, which I didn't make a comment on. He defeated him by unanimous decision with the 3 judges scoring the contest 30, 27, 29, 28, and 29, 28. I actually missed this fight because at that time I was going to get a drink, so I did miss a lot of that fight, and I was just chatting with some mates.
Oh, a bit of a line was there, mate. Bit of a line to get a drink, was it?
Yeah, there was a very big line at the watering hole. You are missing a fight here, Trent.
Did I?
You're. Oh no, you're not. Never mind. I have to scroll down. You're not missing a fight. Sorry.
No worries.
I stand corrected. But the next fight was Alexander Volkov defeats Tai Tuivasa by submission and Ezekiel choke at 4 minutes and 37 seconds of round number 2. That was
you got this one right, I'm pretty sure.
Got that one right. I did say so I did say that Alexander Volkov would defeat Tai Tuivasa. Alexander Volkov looked way fitter, looked way more clean. Tai Tuivasa, he always goes into his fights as a brawler to try to just swing and bang, as he likes to say, with his opponents. So
most of the UFC people said
with leg kicks.
Most of the US people said they've seen it firsthand. But if you go into a bar fight, Bam Bam's the first person you want by your side, and a lot of people said they've seen it firsthand.
Oh yeah, 100%. He has a vicious punch, but he's also got a concrete chin because he was hit with some massive shots from Volkov. So surprised he actually made it to round 2 because he got teed off on in the first round.
He's very tall, Volkov, isn't he?
Now, yeah, he's 6. Is he 6'7"? Yeah, 6'7" or 6'5". I can't remember off the top of my head. But Bam Bam's only 6'2", so he's a pretty short bloke for someone who's fighting heavyweight.
as Will just has a little cough there.
Sorry,
Sorry,
just
guys.
had to cough. Yeah,
No
sorry.
worries, mate.
And then the main event, which was an unreal main event. New
had some-
champion Sean Strickland defeats Israel Adesanya.
You had some comments about Adesanya, though. You thought he looked a bit off?
Yeah, he's normally very attacking and very calculated with his strikes, and he throws a lot of his strikes with really good power and intent. And I feel like a lot of people said that Adesanya looks off, but I reckon that Sean Strickland just shut Adesanya's game down. So he's really used to controlling the octagon, having that octagon presence. So I feel like Israel Adesanya's game was shut down. Unreal win from Sean Strickland. Well deserving of the title. And he defeated, all judges scored that contest 29-26, so unanimous decision. We've had a lot of new champions this year, which is really good to see. So, yeah.
And then now, so when's the next one coming? Do you know? When's the next event? I know Tim Zoo's closed.
I know
his
there's
event. Tim Zoo's
Yeah,
boxing
so the next
closed.
UFC it will be a fight night, and yeah, it's not far off. Do you reckon Zoo's going to win that?
I hope so. Now, just breaking news, guys, before we get into it, our predictions, the teams have been announced. They're in. Teams are in.
Yeah, see, this is a good thing about recording on a Wednesday. This is a great
Hey,
thing
mate.
about recording on a Wednesday. You get to announce
Hey, mate.
the teams.
Today's Thursday.
Oh, no, it's Thursday. No, it is Thursday. Oh, that's terrible. That is so bad. Nah, you know what's cooked me? You know what's cooked me here is I've just looked over. I've got my phone up and I've had a look at the last edit I made on the document because I edited one thing that you put and it said edit made on Wednesday.
But so here's what Melbourne have done. They brought 3 people in. They brought in Charlie Spargo, Adam Tomlinson, and James Jordan.
I can't stand that player.
Which one?
Charlie Spargo.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Charlie Spargo, Adam Tomlinson, James Jordan come in while Michael Hibbard's been dropped. Van Rooyen, obviously, suspension. Angus Brayshaw with the injured, and Bailey Laurie is the sub. While, because Jack Martin and Harry Mackay, obviously, suspension and injured for Carlton. In comes Matthew Kennedy for the Blues. And, Port have made a huge call. Wait till you hear this one, Will. Because obviously their key tours
hear
are
it.
in comes Charlie Dixon.
Oh, that's huge.
But wait for it.
That's
Guess who got
massive
dropped?
from Port.
Guess who got dropped? Guess who got dropped? Jeremy Finlayson.
I'm trying to think.
Jeremy Finlayson got dropped.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. Huge.
Wait, what kind of... Hang on. Let me just quickly... What kind of game did he have on the weekend to be dropped?
I don't know, but it's just like he could
Give
play
me
as a
one
second
sec,
ruck, too.
guys. Sorry.
And Stephen Cornelio comes back
Jeremy
into the Giants.
Finlayson had one behind. That's expected.
Yep.
Jeremy Finlayson had one behind and just the 6 touches. But I don't think one bad finals game is enough to just rule him out like that. I don't know about you, but
I agree.
it'll
with you
be
100%.
Charlie Dixon better perform.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see how they go down back to, obviously, Trent McKenzie. By the looks of it, looks like he's got up. He looked in all sorts last week when he came off the ground.
Yeah, it's good. Good to see. No, it's good to see. Good to see.
Now,
good to see.
now we may
hurt.
as well go for our predictions. Well, we've read the team. Friday night, MCG, 7:50 p.m. Get your beers ready. I know you will be, Will. Melbourne or Carlton? Who are you going for?
I am going with Carlton over Melbourne.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate and go Melbourne just for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of it, who do you genuinely think's going to win? Do you genuinely think it's going to be Melbourne or Carlton? It's a very close game to call.
Yeah, I'm going to go because I'm not 100% sure on either, so I'm just going to go with Melbourne just to back in the experience and the consistency that they've shown all season, and they've got the background in finals.
Yeah, fair call there.
Now, Port Adelaide v GWS, Saturday night, 7:40 p.m. at Adelaide Oval. Will, who are you backing here?
I'm backing the Giants in this one. Now, I do think, however, it will be decided by under a goal. So I reckon it'll be an extremely close game.
Now, believe it or not, I'm also going the Giants.
Oh, that's massive, especially at Adelaide Oval.
At Adelaide Oval. So that's huge.
I just think...
Yeah. You go.
Sorry. So I just think that with Giants getting Cogs back and the way they performed last week with their team, there's no changes. So I reckon they're just going to excel and, really take it to Port over there. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, that's pretty much just going to wrap up this week. Now, hopefully that the online has come through all right. I know we cut off each other a little bit because of the difference with the transferring, like our audio. But we should be back in face-to-face soon. So stay tuned for that. And we got the big semi-finals coming up. So let us know in the comments who you are going for. And then we'll be doing our prelim and get ready for our big grand final show where we'll be reviewing some of the team's performances and revealing our Andrew Phillips final team of the year 22. And also, we are only 5 episodes away from raising the bat for episode 100. So that will also be a huge episode and huge milestone for the podcast. So I'm very excited about that. We'll relive some of our favorite moments on the podcast of the favorite guests we had, and we'll get some people involved too. What do you reckon, Will?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be a part of that 100th episode. We'll definitely find some of our favourite clips from all the past episodes, our favourite guests, and yeah, it'll be a great episode to be a part of. So I'm very keen for that, Trent.
Yeah, well, you be well, Will, and that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for listening, and make sure to stream this on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Make sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And until next time, see ya.